afternoon and welcome to our sunset safari, and in particular a very, very warm welcome to the kids at Three Oaks Primary School. So Mrs. Moores and Graham Kampfmüller's third grade class. I want you guys to just imagine that you are sitting on the back of the vehicle with me and ask me any questions that you would like, because I will get them straight through in my ear. Now what you're watching is happening right here in South Africa, so all the way at the bottom of the African continent. I'm stopping here to just see if I can spot any animals that might be living in these temporary ponds. Now, the only reason that this water is here is because it has been raining a lot over the last few days. And what that means is if we look very closely, and let's see if you can help me spot, see if we can look for any frogs or any terrapins. Now, a terrapin, and I think there might actually be one hiding underwater somewhere there where the ripples are. A terrapin is like a mixture between a tortoise and a turtle. So it's a mixture between a land animal and a water animal. There we go. I can actually see his little head just popped up where the ripples are happening. Now what he will have to do, if this dries up in the next few weeks, there his head pops up. Can you see him there, Dave? Yeah. There, you got him. Every now and again, he just pops his head up. So keep your eyes, keep looking. See if you can spot him before I do again. Is he going to come out? Is he going to come to the edge of the water? Or is he not? Just to introduce myself while we wait for this terrapin to arrive. My name is Jamie, and I sit doing one of the best jobs in the entire world, in my opinion. I get to drive around the African bushveld every day, twice a day. I sit on a vehicle and I take a cameraman on the back with me. In this case, his name is Dave. We have some amazing cameramen. They've got a camera that swivels on the back, and then we've got a whole lot of technology that boosts the signal right up into the sky, and that goes through satellite dishes in space and bounces back to where you're sitting in your classroom at the moment. I think our terrapin is feeling a little bit camera shy this afternoon. Every time I see him, he pops his head up very quickly and then disappears down, but that's okay, because we're going to keep looking for other ones to show you. There's lots of terrapins around at the moment, and they look very much like little turtles with clawed feet. And the last thing I want to show you while we sit at this little water hole is that patch of white that is sitting up in that tree there. I wonder if any of you could guess what that might be. It's sitting over water, and it has to do with an animal that's capable of living in the water and needs to, in certain cases, needs to live in water, but can also climb a tree. And what you're looking at there is the eggs of an animal. What animal do you think that might be? And Eli, you wanted to know what a terrapin is, and I was really hoping that he might show himself so that I could give you a better look at him. But I don't think he wants to come out. Maybe he just feels more safe in the water. So I said it's like a mixture between a tortoise and a turtle, and I will show you exactly what I mean. It's a very funny looking creature. Good thing I have my book here, and I always travel with lots of books. This is a terrapin. It's a creature, look, it's got almost like flippers, but with claws on its feet. So it's capable, unlike a sea turtle, of covering big distances on land. So this is a terrapin. They've got very, very sharp beaks. This is the one that we are probably looking for at the moment. Oopsie, try not to turn the page at the same time. Might be one of those. You can see they all have a wide mixture of very, very strange faces. But fascinating creatures. A mixture between a tortoise and a turtle. Now, a turtle is a sea-based animal. So it lives in the sea. It only swims in the sea. And it has flippers only. So you can see there's no claws there. No no feet, and it only ever comes onto the land when it's time for it to lay its eggs. Other than that, it spends its whole time swimming in the sea. Now that's a turtle. We don't get any turtles here because there's no sea anywhere in the vicinity, even if there is a little bit of water, if there's a couple of ponds. There's all my pictures of my turtles. And then a tortoise. This is a tortoise. It's a total land animal. The only tortoise that is capable of even thinking about swimming is called a leopard tortoise, which is one of the species that we get here. See how it's got its feet are built for walking on the land. So there's no flippers, there's no webbing between its toes, so its toes aren't joined together to help it swim. And it's built with its mouth like that for wandering around, whoopsie, and eating grass. There you go. So a tortoise lives on land and a turtle lives in the sea. And a terrapin kind of lives between the two, in the water and also on the land. And we might even, because it's been nice and cool and cloudy, we might even see one of them come out onto the road. And Dylan was wondering, since this little animal lives in the water and lives on the land, Dylan was wondering, what does a terrapin eat? And the answer is he'll eat the little plants around the water's edge. They are mainly vegetarian, but it's definitely not an animal that you want to touch. They have a very sharp bill. Now, tortoises and terrapins don't have teeth, so they can't chew like we chew, but they've got very sharp edges, almost like if you do this and you were to bite, they've got very, very sharp ridges if you put your lips over your teeth. And that's what they use to snip the grass, almost like little lawnmowers. And they munch around like that. And they're also, because although they have nice shells that they can hide away in if they ever get attacked by a predator, maybe a big bird or maybe even a lion, they also smell really, really bad. And if you ever go and pick up a terrapin, it will pee on you. That's its way of a defense mechanism, to make you smell very bad, just like skunks might do. You know how skunks are capable of spraying that very disgusting smell? That is what terrapins do. Now, this morning, I have a special surprise for you. Adam, yes, a terrapin, if you were to pick it up, could hurt you because it could bite you. But other than that, they're very peaceful animals, and as long as you leave, that's almost all of the animals out here, as long as you leave them alone, that is a good way of approaching things. But then if you want to go and touch it, it gets scared, and then it tries to bite, and it can bite. Now, I have a special surprise for you. I'm actually going to stop here. We're not going to look just yet. Oh, no, we're going to stall the car instead. I want you to guess what animal I'm sneaking up through the bushes at. And it's one of the animals that is famous throughout Africa. And it is just behind the trees in front of me. Dave's not going to show you, though, because we're going to keep it a surprise. In the meantime, there is somebody else that would like to say hello to you.
Well, a big safari live to Three Oaks Elementary School. Welcome on a live safari, guys. Great to have you on the back of the vehicle. My name is Brent, and I have Vim operating the camera with me today. And I believe it's 2 science classes with us today. Well, what a fun way to spend the science class. Oh, and look what we found. Oh, it's running away.
Same position as where we left them this morning. Static.
And that was a little steenbok, a tiny little antelope. So that's actually not a baby, it's a big one. A big boy, actually, so an adult male. Now, I know because this is science class, we're going to mix a little bit of biology in it as well, I'm sure, since we're out in the bush. And now, a steenbok is a herbivore. A herbivore is something that eats only grass and leaves and things, or plants in general. And then I know Jamie has found some carnivores, and they only really eat meat. Now, there's a third one called an omnivore. Now, I wonder what an omnivore eats. So I'm not sure. I think I'm going to have to ask you guys, what does an omnivore eat? And can you name an omnivore? And just think about it. If you want to name an omnivore, maybe you should look in the mirror. But we've heard a report that there's a nice herd of elephants. So we are moving off towards them, seeing if we can find them. I definitely would have liked my science classes to be watching a safari. So you were just with Jamie, who was with a little carnivorous shelled creature called a terrapin. And Dane would like to know, how big can they get? Well, Dane, there's a species, I think Jamie has the book, so I'll ask her to show you, called a Nile soft-shelled terrapin that can get this big. It can probably get to about 4.5 foot long, around there, and weigh probably close on 250 pounds. So they can get very big. We don't have any of those here. We get two types of terrapin here. We get the serrated hinged terrapin, which is the most common one we see here, and the marsh terrapin. I know Jamie should have a picture. I have seen those soft-shelled terrapins in the rainforest. So a very good question from David. David would like to know, do terrapins lay eggs? Yes, they do. So they'll find a nice bit soft, sandy spot not too far away from the pans that they live in. Ooh! Ground hornbill, guys. Look at that. Now, that is a very big bird. And a very rare bird. An endangered species, actually. Now, this is sort of, in African folklore, the king of the birds, because they're so good at catching big snakes. And it's one of their favorite foods. You can see he's got that massively powerful jaw. Or beak, sorry, and it is a male, and you can see that enlarged red wattles around his face. The females have a blue spot in the middle of those, but he's disappearing. Oh, has he spotted something? Maybe he spots a snake. Wouldn't that be exciting? Nope. He's just going to carry on walking. So back to the terrapins, and like birds, yes, they do lay eggs. So they will dig a nice little hole in some soft sand nearby water, and they will lay their eggs there, and they will hatch a little later. And the baby terrapins are out and about. I'll see if I can find you one a little later. But while we do that, and let's go back to Jamie and Africa's largest carnivore.
Africa's largest carnivore indeed. Let's see if we can spot them. Keep looking in the bushes. They are here somewhere. Maybe we should check on the other side of the vehicle. Let's have a look around here. Have you spotted them yet? Can you see them yet? I have a really special surprise for you. What do you suppose is lying right there? And she's just perfectly popped her head up for us. Look at that. It is a male and a female lion. And that's incredible to see. Now, hands up who thinks we should try and go just a little bit closer, not too close, obviously. We don't want to scare them or get into their personal space. That's not fair. One of the things we always remember is that we are in the animal's home and not the other way around. So it's important for us to be very respectful in the way that we treat them. But let's go a little bit closer, see if we can sneak up. Now, what you'll probably find is as we do this, he will lift his head as well. He's sleeping at the moment. It's what Africa's largest carnivore does best. Lions can spend easily up to 22 hours a day asleep, just like this, catnapping, essentially. And the reason that they do that is because when they do hunt and chase animals, they're going to go nice and slowly, slowly. Hello, big boy. There we go. Africa's top predator. I would have liked to change my angle slightly, but unfortunately just poking my nose or the front of the vehicle towards them might give them a bit of a fright. Oh, such a tired lion. Look at those huge feet. Now, right now, we are in almost a river system. This is perfect territory for lions, and I know Findley, you wanted to know what kind of environment or ecosystem we are in. At the moment, we are in mixed bush willow woodland. So it's woodland bushveld is how we describe it. And what that means is that it's thick and dense with trees, and also with a nice, healthy, or usually a nice, healthy grass layer. Well, the reason I say that usually is that the parts of this savanna area, and in fact, tired lioness, most of the country of South Africa is experiencing a very serious drought. Now, where that lioness is lying, usually at this time of year, there should be grass all around her. And at the moment, there's not that much, just a little bit of green poking through. Now, these lions are hungry. Their bellies are empty, their bellies are flat. And we call them the top predator of this area. And Eli, you were wondering, what is a lion's diet? Well, Eli, lions are the top of the food chain out here. They are the dominant species. Andrew, you were also asking about a lion's diet. So, their favorite foods: buffalo, zebra, wildebeest, waterbuck, all of the larger antelope species. Now, you can imagine a lion, just a lioness, for example, is probably somewhere in the region of about 250 pounds in weight. The male can be another 200 pounds above that, so 450 pounds. So it takes a lot of meat to feed themselves and to maintain that energy and weight. And that is why they tend to target the bigger animals. They're big and strong, so they can hunt large animal species, and that's what they do. But interestingly, when it's just females in their pride alone, without the male there, they will target smaller species, so wildebeest and zebra. Whereas with a male with them, then they can hunt the bigger things, like the bigger, older buffalo, the bulls that can reach almost up to 2,000 pounds in weight, or even a young giraffe, actually. And there's certain lion prides that have even learned to hunt elephants when they have to. Now, this is a perfect example. The last few days, we've only had lionesses, female lions, but this is a perfect example for us to compare a male and a female. Now, obviously, the male has a thick head of hair, although it's tricky to see right now because he's just turned around and is lying down with his bottom facing us, which isn't very considerate. But Addison, you wanted to know why the male has a mane. And Addison, that's a really good question because, in a way, a mane is a disadvantage because it means that the male lion gets too hot faster than the female, and he's also heavier, he's bulkier. So why would a lion have a mane? Let's think about it. What do males do far more often than females do in lions? And the answer to that is they defend their territories far more vigorously, and they actively seek out and try and chase away other males. So that mane is just like horns on certain antelope or deer. So stags that get their horns in breeding season, that's what a mane is like, except that it's permanent because lions breed at all times of the year, and the male has to fight for his access to females so that he can mate with them. So that mane is extra protection, and it's also, they've done some research that has shown that lionesses tend to have a preference, so they prefer a male with a bigger, darker mane to that of a male with less of a mane. Oh, he's giving himself a little bit of a clean, just like domestic cats do. Oh, no, he's gone back to sleep again. Rolling onto his back, those enormous feet up in the air. Danielle, we are right on a river system, but you've asked a good question, because here the lions are lying right out in the open. You want to know, why are they lying out in the open? Don't they want to be more hidden away? And the answer, Danielle, is because they are the apex predator. So there's nothing out here that can actually think about attacking them. The only other thing that would be maybe a challenge would be another male lion that isn't known to this, or isn't related to this particular gentleman that we've been watching. And that is very, very unlikely to happen in the middle of the day. Generally, lions spend their day sleeping. Now, Danielle, if it were any hotter, if the sun was out and blazing down on the earth, you'd probably find that they would have snuck into this river system that is dry, but is really, really dense off to the left of us. You can see there's some big trees on the side, and although it's not that clear for you where that big tree is, the ground drops away completely to a riverbed. And so the lions, if it was sunny, would probably be sleeping in the shade somewhere. But at the moment, this is nice and comfortable for them. There's no thorns pricking them whenever they roll over, like that lioness just did. And there's no leaves or sticks poking them in the eye or in the ear. So it's like a comfortable sleeping spot. Now, although they are fast, or not quite fast asleep, but although they are very clearly resting, Elena wants to know, well, one thing that keeps moving is their ears. There, her ears twitching, twitching, twitching. And Elena, the answer to that is, whilst she's quite comfortably sleeping, she's got flies that are trying to settle around the soft skin of her ear and bite her. So that's why she's twitching her ears, because they're bugging her. Not enough for her to move, because if she moves, they'll just find her again, but just enough to keep her ears twitching. And she doesn't really consciously do that. She's doing it whilst she's fast asleep. We have one of the most famous animals of Africa, the largest predator, but I hear that Brent has got the largest, absolutely the largest animal that we have here, so why don't you go and have a look?
So, welcome back. Look at this. We're with some Ellies, and this is a cheeky young one coming up to us here. It's okay, girl. There we go. Just a little bit of showing off. And coming forward, clipping that nice green grass. So Jamie's sitting with the largest carnivore, and I'm sitting with the largest herbivore. Oh, look at the baby playing. Hello. No need to get funny. So that's just a bit of youthful exuberance. Now here you can see very much a herbivore munching on that acacia tree. And isn't it amazing how tough an elephant's mouth is? Because you can see how big those thorns are. And the elephant takes no notice. There's a little one. So very well done to Mackenzie, who got the correct answer for an omnivore. It's an animal that eats both plants and animals. And yes, you're very, very scary. Now you're just causing trouble. And look at that little guy. Mackenzie was spot on, and the most numerous omnivore, if I'm not mistaken, in the world. So the animal, the most of that particular animal is human beings. So human beings are an omnivore because we eat meat and plants. So it's fascinating if we look at that little elephant. When he turns around, he's still trying to learn how to use his trunk. So it takes him a couple of months to master that. So they always look a little bit silly when they're little like this, because he tries to pick up stuff but can't. And it looks like a little boy. Staying close to his mom. So Andrew is wondering, how does the elephant's trunk help it? Now, Andrew, it is probably one of the most useful things. So being big like that, look how she has to pick up everything. They use it to break branches, to pick grass, to caress each other. It is a very, very versatile instrument. But just look at that. You can see there. Now there are thousands of muscles. Look at that. She's picking up a dead branch, moving it out of the way so she can get to the nice green grass that's growing underneath it. So a very useful tool. And there we go. Look at that. Nice, fresh green grass. We're just going to scoot around so we can see better. Whoa, wee! And around we go. Are we good, Vim? So while we move around to try and get another view of those wonderful elephants, Kaylee is wondering, why are elephants' ears so big? Now imagine if we had ears like elephants flapping all over the place. So Kaylee, an elephant's very big and it's also very dark, so it can get very, very hot. So an elephant's ears are its air conditioning system. So what happens is they pump blood into those ears, and believe it or not, it can hold nearly 2 gallons of blood in its ears. And so when it flaps, it cools that down and therefore cools the whole animal down. So that's why an Ellie's ears are so big. So Haley's wondering about an elephant's tusk, and this poor one hasn't actually grown too big at tusks just yet. But oh, there we go. Hello. Yes, you are very scary. Well, very scared of you. Now shake your head to feel important. No, too sheepish. So, Haley, the tusks in the females are mostly used for feeding purposes. So to strip bark off trees, to break branches as well. But in the males, obviously, they're also a very important tool when it comes to being able to get to all the nice ladies. They'll use them as a weapon, like a big sword. Except an elephant's lucky it's got 2. Okay, they're not being very cooperative where we are now, so we'll move a skosh again. Oh, and here comes the cheeky Ellie again. No. Oh, yes, I told you, very scary. So it's just a young one playing with us. And it's very important when approaching elephants off-road like this that you don't react to the young one like that, but you watch the big adult female to see if she's upset. So this Ellie's just having a good time teasing us. But the big female is completely relaxed with us. Okay, let's try and have a look at the big female. Yes, you are very scary. There we go. Let's just move through this so we can get a view of the baby and mom who are disappearing. Okay, you can see, just having a bit of fun, teenager being full of nonsense, and then back to eating. So there we go, is a good example of a question we just had from Haley. How do elephants get food with their trunk? So Haley, they've got a big fancy word called prehensile. They've got a prehensile tip. So basically, while that Ellie moves away, I'll show you what it looks like. So basically, you can imagine it's like two big fingers that they're able to pick up stuff with. So you can imagine an elephant's trunk from the side. A silly elephant will look like that, and they'll be able to pick up different things. Also, because it's so flexible and there's no bones in it, it's all made up of muscle and cartilage, that they can wrap it around things to lift it if it's heavy. So lots of different ways an elephant can use its trunk.
Jimmy, can I join you on that in Galava?
Oh, so scary. So Mackenzie and Mrs. Moore are wondering, how do elephants camouflage themselves? Well, they don't really need to camouflage themselves. That's the joy of being the biggest animal out there. They don't need to hide from anything because they're so much bigger and stronger than everything. And in terms of why they are grey, that's a question I'm not sure to the answer, because theoretically being grey and living in a hot place, you would attract a lot of heat. So I'm not completely sure why they are grey. A very good question. I'm going to have to go do some homework. But while I'm going to move around, because I think those elephants are going to move out into the open shortly, let's go back to Jamie, who's still with the lions.
Now, one thing that I want to try and do is get a nice view of this boy's face. So I'm trying to shift around that we can go around the other side of him. And let's see if we can't get a better view of the front and maybe even look at that mane that you were asking about a little bit closer. It's also to make space for another vehicle that wants to come and join us. It's a safari vehicle from one of the lodges, so it's got guests, so they're coming to see the lions as well. They're very, very sleepy. But you can see just how enormous his feet are. I know that it's difficult when we are sitting in a car looking down on them to imagine just how big these lions are. Now, if he were to stand up, his eyes would probably be, or the top of his head would probably be close to my chest in terms of height, and he weighs easily, he weighs easily probably about 5 times, 6 times more than I do, probably even more than that. She's a little bit smaller, and that's what makes lioness such good hunters. Haley, you wanted to know what the weight is of a female versus a male lion. And Haley, it differs from place to place, but in this particular area, and our particular lions, she probably weighs in, she's quite a big lioness, I would guess at about 130 kilograms, which is 270 odd pounds. About 270 odd pounds. Now, he weighs considerably more than that. So he will weigh about 220 kilograms, which is 450 pounds. So he weighs 200 pounds more than her. And that is why you often hear this reputation that male lions are lazy and they don't do any of the hunting. That's not true. They can't run as far as the females because they get too hot. So a lion, if it gets too hot and they're not capable of monitoring their body temperature as well as we are, for example. So if their body temperature goes up 2 degrees Fahrenheit, or 3 degrees Fahrenheit, there's actually a chance that they could overheat and die. So that's why he being bulky and big.
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back on the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back on the vehicle with us.
Oh dear, we are very sorry about that. It seems as though that the electricity went off, the power went off throughout the game reserve, and that does sometimes happen. Don't forget, of course, that we are very, very far from any kind of city or anything like that. We're right, I wouldn't say we're in the middle of nowhere, but we're pretty close. The area that we are living in is in 4 million hectares of wildlife area. To put that into some kind of perspective, it's very difficult. It is bigger than probably most states, or coming up to the same size as a lot of states in America. It is bigger than certain countries like Wales in the UK, and it is the equivalent of 4 million soccer fields or football fields. That is how big this wildlife area is. It's the size of a small country. So we're right in our own little portion of it. Now, the one thing that I haven't touched on, oops, I'm tangled in my wires here. There we go. The one thing I haven't touched on is why these two lions are together and what they're doing. Now, they've actually been mating for the last few days, so it's not all that typical to see a female alone with the males. But because they are mating, that is why we're seeing them like this. Usually, this female is part of a pride known as the Ukuhuma pride. And Ukuhuma is a type of tree out here. It's a type of ivory tree. Very similar, I suppose you could almost say, very similar to an oak-type tree. Now, you've got the lioness and the lion sleeping, and it has been a perfect day to have shared with you lions and elephants and all kinds of exciting things. And I hope that when you guys go back home, you'll be able to watch our show at certain times, and maybe it'll get you interested in all of the wonderful animals that we have in Africa, but not just here, but in your backyard as well. Have a wonderful rest of your school day, and I will hope that we see you again very shortly on the back of our vehicle. Cheers, everyone.
So thanks to Three Oaks for joining us on this school sunset safari, and we had some wonderful time, and with those elephants and lions, and it's always great to get a chance to explore the bush with some of our younger friends. So we're going to say adieu, and till next time, hopefully we'll see you again soon. Bye. So we're still with these eddies, and unfortunately just behind a thicket at the moment. I am hoping they're going to move out towards us on the road, which they have been doing slowly through the bush. I can hear another little creature around here. Oh, incoming fork-tailed drongo. 2, 3. Can you hear that toot of the drongo? And taking advantage of any little insect that's disturbed by these pachyderms. It looks like they're actually having an argument, chasing one another. It is so special to be able to just sit with these animals and a nice little bit of fun with that cheeky youngster. Coming to say hello with the trumpet. One of the most distinctive sounds in the bush, where the elephants are, the branches breaking. Well, a big thank you to Lynn, who's being very flattering and said, isn't it wonderful that schools are starting to enjoy these safaris with our expert guides? Well, thanks very much for that, Lynn. Very sweet of you. There's always... Oh, Vim, come here quickly. Right next to us. Oh, it disappeared. It just jumped into that bush. There was a tiny little rattling testicular that just popped out right next to us. Unfortunately, it disappeared before we could get the camera on it. I'm just trying to see, I think if we stay here, I'm hoping that little baby will come back out again. So they're probably enjoying this nice, cool weather. VM and I were in heated debate whether and when it was going to rain this evening. I think it will rain, but when is now the question. We had some nice little showers during the middle of the day. What you spotted, Vim? Oh, well spotted, Vim. Dwarf mongoose. Little matikitoch. Now, matikitoch is the Shangaan name for dwarf mongoose. And I actually used to work with the guy in the southern Sabi Sands, Alfred Intombela. And he was so short that his nickname was Matikitoch. So he literally had to sit on a pile of blankets bigger than Jamie's. He probably would have been a head and a half shorter than Jamie. Move forward a tiny bit. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. I thought the immobilizer had decided to give us a little bit of hassle, but not. Oh, look at this. This Eddie's digging. Oh, it's the cheeky one. It just dug out and ran off with the tuber. You can see there that fresh elephant digging. So it dug to the roots. I didn't quite see what it was, but it managed to get something out of there and disappeared off around the corner with it. Catherine was just saying, so happy. Lions and elephants definitely brighten her day. They brighten mine as well, Catherine. I feel exactly the same way. Nowhere I'd rather be sitting right now than on safari with all of you guys. Speaking of lions, oh, just hang on a second. Let's just have a quick little look at the little one. Isn't just sweet? But we're going to wait for them to move out of this thicket and out into the open where we can get better views of them. So while we do that, let's go have a look at those lions with Jamie.
We're still with our lions and just waiting for them and to see if they're going to mate again. And I'm going to give it another few minutes before I move off. But whilst I've been sitting and whilst the lions have been completely flat, I've been getting very excited over a bird that's been hopping around in the bushes. And actually what I want to do is I want to sneak closer. Now the bird in question is one I've never managed to get on live. I suspect some of the other presenters might have. I'm going to show you a picture of it first. It is called a southern boo-boo. So that is what we're looking for. A southern boo-boo, you hardly ever see them. You do hear them. Got a very high-pitched whistling call. Very similar in size and shape to a shrike. Roughly about the size or just smaller than the page of this book. And that's what we're looking for, that rufous color, the yellow underbelly, and then the flash of black and white. Now, I really, really want to get it on camera. I have been trying since I started working here. Let's go and see if we can't spot it. I've seen it hopping about, and since our lions are not up to too much, let's go on a bird search. If we can't find it. Come on, Boo-Boo, I know you were there. What I'll do is I'll position the car so that we've got a view of both the lions and potentially the thicket that this bird might be in. If we just have a look at the dense vegetation, you can see why it is. If that is the habitat that a boo-boo prefers, that's why we don't always see them. And yes, I'm saying boo-boo, almost like a boo-boo, like you've hurt yourself, but it is spelled B-O-U rather than B-O-O. Boo-boo. Come on, Boo-boo. The more you say it, the funnier it starts to sound. Right, I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to keep checking out of the corner of my eye. In the meantime, SafariLIVE was wondering which lioness this is, whether it is a Styx or an Nkuhuma. And the answer is, it is our missing Nkuhuma. It's our 5th Nkuhuma lioness, who disappeared about 5 or so days ago. Obviously not disappeared because she has been with one of the Birmingham boys, spending her time mating with him. So an Nkuhuma lioness, one of the younger ones, as you can see, that slightly pinker nose. And much like the rest of her pride, the rest of her family, it is one very empty-bellied lioness. She was hunting, repeated attempts at hunting this morning with Brent before they decided to spend the rest of their day lying up in this clearing. And I think that they've just been so focused on other activities that are now drawing to a close that they haven't had time to hunt or to eat. Both of them looking quite thin and quite exhausted. We did see them mate this morning, and I can only describe it as half-hearted for a lion mating. very little enthusiasm on both sides. In fact, they weren't even growling or swatting at each other as mating big cats usually do. They were just very unenthusiastic, and that's because it's the end of their mating session. They've been mating repeatedly for the last 4 to 5 days. They're exhausted, they're hungry, and quite frankly, they are sick of each other's company. So despite the discomfort, she can't even be bothered to turn around and smack him. He's not even really holding onto the back of her neck as male cats usually do, and she's not really rolling over onto her back as usually occurs in the first few mating sessions with mating lions. The moment they've had enough, and I think I worked it out this morning for one of the viewers, that if they mate 4 times in an hour, that roughly, and let's say they're feeling in the beginning particularly amorous, and they mate up to 100 times in one day, a few times 24 by 4, 96 rounded up to 100, then for 4 or 5 days, okay, 400 to 500 mating, individual matings. That's a lot of energy that goes into it, and it cannot be underestimated just how much their bodies put into keeping up or using those kind of resources, which is why they are as exhausted as they are. My boo-boo has let us down. Gone all camera shy. I'm quite devastated by that. A big welcome to Tiffany and her daughter. Tiffany is at home with her daughter, who has been recovering from surgery and watching SafariLIVE for the first time. I'm really glad that you're enjoying it, and I hope that you keep joining us. Remember, we do it twice a day, every single day, for 3 hours in our morning and 3 hours in the afternoon. So it's wonderful always to have new viewers on board. So please spread the word. Let your friends know, let your family know, let your neighbors know, let the random person on the internet know about SafariLIVE. We do want to try and spread the word across the globe, and for me personally, I think it is a wonderful way of really raising awareness and emphasizing the connection that we as humans may have lost in the past in terms of our connection to nature and our love of nature. I'm going to give it another 5 minutes before I decide to leave these lions and come back a little bit later as it gets cooler. In the meantime, Brent wants to also move away from the elephant herds, so let's see if you can go and say farewell to the Ellies for now.
Sorry about that. Similar to VM and I are right in the western corner of the reserve.
Very short trip across to Brent. He obviously was having some signal issues. Now, although my boo-boo hasn't decided to make an appearance, although I'm not giving up hope yet, there are 3 crested francolin. If I duck my head down and you just peer behind the foliage, there we go. Well done, Dave. Unsuspecting francolin making their way towards the lair of the lions. Not, of course, that they are really going to be on the menu of the lions. I don't think our 2 are going to be terribly bothered by a bite-sized bush chicken, as they are known. Still has noticed. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Dave. Didn't realize quite how close he'd come. Sorry, everyone. You probably could enjoy an uninterrupted view without my head popping into your view. Hello, Britty. Sometimes we don't stop and look at these gorgeous birds for long enough. Just look at how cleverly designed the colors on those feathers really are. The patching and the mottling are actually quite beautiful in their own way. Look at that chest. A perfect way of camouflaging themselves, particularly in patches like this. And I mean, we're wonderfully zoomed in, but for a normal eye to see that would be very tricky. It's only the movement that attracts them. Oh, have we worked out that there are lions here yet? Franklin? Oops. I started a mad dash away. No alarm calls. Not too serious. The last two decided that it's worth risking. It's like crossing the road with busy traffic, or the Franklin equivalent. Go, 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 go. Look at this third one. Sorry, it's being so entertaining. It keeps trying to come out and then changing its mind and running back inside. Oh, what's it going to do? It's going to be brave enough to come out? No, that's a very silly way to go. Oh, no, back in again. Suspense. Will the Franklin cross to join the others? Here it's come all the way around onto the other side. Oh, no, now it's running. It's run back all the way there. Go, go, go. Oh, no, changed my mind. I've changed my mind. Oh, but now I'm all alone. I'm not quite sure what to do. Oh, shame. Cool. Well, I'll keep you updated on the progress of our crested Franklin. In the meantime, Brent has got one of the birds that we don't often see.
So from a scared bird to very relaxed looking three birds. Now these are quite interesting, beautiful colors, and quite often very difficult to get a good view of them on camera. These three seem to be just perched out in a dead branch out in the open, so lucky for us. Now, if we look at their feet, that's one of the more interesting things about them. They have zygodactyl feet, and what that means is, like parrots and parakeets, they have two toes facing forward and two toes facing back. Now, this is very unusual for their family because they are a pigeon. This is the African green pigeon. But apart from their head and beak shape, which you can see, that very sort of dove or pigeon-like look, they're very unusual. Their habits are very different from all the other members of the family. They are almost exclusively fruit eaters. And they can get into big flocks, and they move between different fruiting trees. So I'm sure they're ecstatic that there's been a bit of rain. And sorry, 1 second. I just heard something on the radio. Now, the brown ivory trees and red ivory trees and the guarries are now fruiting. I think this is what these guys have been feeding on in this area. They've been munching on guarri berries. Very tasty, and in the distance behind them you can see there's a massive storm brewing. Very, very pretty. And look at that. Isn't that a magnificent sky? So a couple of big cumulus storms building. Oh, quickly, back to Jamie. The cats are on the move.
I rushed you back across because the lions showed every intention of actually getting up and quite possibly mating. But first, of course, he has to give his ear a jolly good scratch. But she's just gone straight back to sleep. They both were up, both heads up, and it looked as though they were thinking about it. And now he's just cleaning his belly. I was actually on my way out of the sighting when he got up. Oh, dirty look from him. Oh, okay. Well, fair enough, I guess. Fair enough, lions. I really thought that they were going to get up and start mating, but clearly they are further along in their mating time than I thought they were. They must be pretty much done. You'll probably find that by tomorrow, if the Nkuhumas decide to wander back towards Vuyatela, they've crossed through Simbambili last night, but if the other four decide to come back in this direction, you'll probably find that this lioness is reunited with them by tomorrow. I think that these guys are done for the day. In that case, after that false alarm with heads up and looking alert, I'm actually thinking we might leave them and we'll come back as it gets a little bit darker, and the chances are that they are going to start hunting. Darlene's read something about the lioness's behavior just before we leave the lions. Darlene's read that a lioness can get distracted and forget that she has cubs. Darlene, that's not something I've ever heard of happening in the wild. I'm trying to think of what could maybe be mistaken as distraction, possibly something happening with the female, maybe the presence of other males that she is trying to distract from the presence of her babies or her cubs. But I certainly have never heard of a big cat mother forgetting about her cubs or just simply abandoning them, unless they're in a situation where, in fact, they are so badly starved of nutrients that they actually can't provide for the cubs and they might neglect them. In certain cases, they might even have to eat them, which is very unfortunate, but you can see how utilizing that resource would be something that they could do. Darlene, I suggest we put that question to Brent as well. We'll get his opinion, see if he's ever heard of it. In my personal experience, I've never heard of lionesses forgetting that they have cubs, or any of the big cats, or in fact, any of the mammal species. That maternal bond is incredibly powerful, particularly out here where that level of parental care within the mammals is so crucial to an animal's survival. I don't know, Darlene. I haven't heard of it. I'll see. We'll check if Brent has heard of it as well. I don't think so, though. It sounds highly unlikely. I think that maybe what the stuff that you were reading, maybe the conclusions that they drew were slightly mistaken. Maybe there was a reason other than just forgetfulness that the lioness abandoned her cubs in those particular instances. Possibly another male coming in. It's just one of those things. And a lioness, whilst she will defend her cubs bravely, will not, most of the time will not put themselves at risk of death on their behalf. It does happen occasionally, but not that frequently. Interesting to hear what Brent says as well. In my personal experience, that doesn't happen. Let's find out. Since Brent's signal is back up and running, then you can jump on the back with him.
Hello again. Darlene in New Hampshire had a very interesting question, saying, is it true that lioness sometimes forget their cubs if they get too distracted? I wouldn't say it's distracted. There's a couple of different reasons why a lioness might abandon her cubs. One is she might pick up an injury and she will concentrate more on recovering herself, knowing that she can possibly have more cubs, rather than put her own life at risk with trying to feed the cubs while having a major injury. Another reason could be, like with the Birmingham boys, a major pride takeover. She might abandon cubs during a coalition change, or any disease, etc., something like that. So not really distracted. There has to sort of be other factors that play into that that would cause a lioness to abandon her cubs. So to a degree it is true. Oh, slip sliding. But not from distraction. It'll be for outside reasons. Now, I know it sounds quite horrific, but in certain cases, male lions will even eat their own offspring, particularly if they're injured and really hungry. It is a nice quick snack, a way for them to replenish or keep their tummy full while they've had a major injury. And I've actually seen them do it a couple of times before. And it's also quite disconcerting when you find an old male lion deposit and you can actually see the little claws from the cubs in the deposit. VM's favorite thing to film. On the ground where my finger is. There we go. Look at that. You can see that really pretty coloring on that African vagrant. I'll try and get a little bit closer. I'm just having a little drink from the moist soil near the puddle. Let's see if we can sneak up very stealthily on the butterfly. Don't fly, flutter by. Oh, now the car's getting in the way. Oh, and it flew off. Oh, yeah, isn't that beautiful? Such a beautiful butterfly, and one of our more common butterfly species that we see. Now, we had some interesting interaction with that young elephant a little bit earlier. It was giving us a series of warning charges and trumpets, while the others just calmly carried on feeding. Now, Jenny in Pennsylvania is wondering, as that elephant gets older, will it become less tolerant of vehicles? Not necessarily. I think, especially at that teenage age, they've got a lot of hormones pumping through them, so that could be the cause of that erratic behavior, but not necessarily would make them less tolerant of vehicles at all. I think you must remember, even elephants can be in a different mood every day, so it could just be that current mood it was in. It could be a lot of hormones coursing through its veins, or incorrect, through its body, but I don't think it is a particular reason to worry about that elephant becoming aggressive in later life towards vehicles. Isn't this amazingly green? Almost blindingly so. Now, it's turned out that all of us presenters, oh, look at that, VM's showing you that wonderful sky, have found a severe gap in our collective knowledge. That doesn't happen too much or too often. Normally, between the four of us, and I'm including Steph in that, someone will know something about something. But we've all suddenly found out since this spate, I saw some, now I can't see any, of fungus that's been sprouting up all over the place, that none of us know too much about the fungus species here. So we have been trying to find a book or some information on the funguses of the low veldt, and hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit more information and maybe even find out which ones are edible, and I can add another snack item to my SafariLIVE snack box as we drive around Juma. So there is a very interesting thing we have noticed, and the reason thought about the funguses, I was walking between the DRC and Inga's, where I stay this morning, and I'm going to slowly make my way back down towards it so I can show you. And we've noticed with Jamie that huge fungus she had, she found had been munched on by something. And there's been quite a bit of a debate about which creature has been eating all the fungus and mushrooms that are almost everywhere at the moment. And I think, well, we all think we have an idea which animal. So I'm going to go see if I can find a fungus that's been fed on for you, and see if you guys can work out which beastie has been eating the mushrooms. Obviously quite cultured palate, this beast, but we will keep checking. So speaking of that fungus and whatnot, we're going to go across to Jamie, and I'm just going to say, before she accidentally lets you know what we think is eating that fungus, at final control, please inform her not to give away the answer to the quiz. We are going to go head towards that fungus that's been munched on, and so you can have a look at the teeth marks. But before then, we just got to make sure no one lets you in on the secret.
Sorry, I went into far too low gear. Sorry, Dave. Dave nearly slid forward off the vehicle. We should install seatbelts for our cameramen. Now, by the way, just on the topic of that fungus, and without giving any quiz answers away, I did try and do some research on it yesterday, and I came up fairly blankly. I wanted to try and see if maybe it was edible for humans, what it was all about. And to be honest, I didn't come up with very much. Surprisingly difficult to find information on it, but I will keep trying, and I will keep you updated. I'm just driving along here, enjoying the greenery, as well as the smell. And a lot of that smell actually comes from the funguses themselves. But if I could describe it, apart from the petrichor, which I know is one of James's favorite words, but apart from the petrichor, there's an almost mulch-like smell. I don't know how else to describe it, as decaying plant matter, which doesn't sound all that pleasant when I say it like that, but it actually really is. It's a very pleasant, summery smell, and it's one that I've missed. Might be a little bit late in the season, but nevertheless, an enjoyable scent to have back in my life once again. And would you look at this, even Twin Dams has water. Let's go a little bit to get a clearer view from above. You can see just how much. You know, it's so hard to believe that this is the same dam that when I first started working here, Scott was wading through up to his knees, coming out very muddy in his attempt to look for catfish. Really nice to see water in Twin Dams. I'm sure some of you might be wondering, why is it called Twin Dams? Isn't this a beautiful setting? So, the first thing I asked when I started working here, and one of the things you might be asking yourselves, why on earth is this called Twin Dams? Because there's only one of them. Now, apparently there was a second dam on the other side of the dam wall, and the dam wall actually broke at one point, which is why there is no longer a twin to our one twin dam. Just an interesting little note in the history of the naming of the various areas. And it's one of the things I love the most, actually, is finding out a little bit about the different naming techniques of different reserves and the history behind the names of the roads. Elephant Carcass, for example, presumably once had an elephant carcass on it, Elephant Carcass Road. But a tranquil setting with the beautiful leadwood trees and the sun glinting off the dam. Now, if there had been the normal amount of rain, I hear a lot of you you would not believe what this place would look like. Teresa's absolutely right. You would be shocked by how different this area would look during this time period. And what would actually be wonderful, I think, is if any of you could send through some screenshots, and it doesn't need to be a specific area, although Twin Dams would be particularly useful, but you can maybe send through the screenshot on, even if you send it through on our hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter. And then what Final Control will do for that is they'll send through that picture to me so that I can share it with those of you who maybe aren't on the same viewing platforms. And you'll actually we'll be able to do a bit of a comparison. And depending on where those screenshots are from, we should be able to get a really nice idea, because I promise you, if you are joining us or have only jumped on board for this particular year, this area looks totally different. I mean, Twin Dams is, yes, there's water in it, but it is incredibly low. I just want to see if this little pied wagtail decides to come into view as well. I might even go forward a bit. But if we go up to let's actually have a look at the dam wall itself. If we take a closer look at the dam wall itself, where the water is. There we go. Perfect. Thank you, Dave. You can see how the ridges and the water runoff, you can actually almost see where that water level should have been. So where that patch of grass is, that is at times how high that water has reached. That is what's necessary to keep the water for the majority of the dry season that is coming up. And unfortunately, there's just not quite enough to keep it there. Even if we look at the sort of just past that on the bank opposite to us, you can see where all of the grass is very, very patchy around there. That would all have been underwater in a proper rainy season. You almost wouldn't recognize what this that we were in the same place. And I will show you what I mean as soon as those screenshots start coming through. And if you can send them through, that would be really awesome. Thank you. I'd be very grateful. Marilyn, I know, I was actually so devastated to give up on that southern boo-boo. Marilyn has said thank you for trying and that it would have been a new bird for her list. I'm pretty sure, Marilyn, it would have been a new bird for many viewers. It just didn't want to cooperate. I promise you, I got so excited. Hey, Dave, I got really, really excited about the presence of this little cryptically colored bird hopping about. Oh, you know what? Live filming, especially live filming of subjects that can fly away, that have wings. You just have to roll with the... I suppose saying rolling with the punches is probably a bit dramatic. Oh. You can do it, Wendy, it's okay. Here we go. Now, my plan is to investigate all along from Twin Dams right up towards Buffelshoek, driving along the boundary areas, and to see what we can pick up around there. Now, the other three, there's only 3 this morning. The 3 Birmingham boys just a little bit further to the east of our eastern boundary, close towards Nkoro, for those of you familiar with the geography of this area, but on the main access road. And I just thought it might be nice to pay them a visit, or, well, we can't actually pay them a visit if they haven't come in this direction, but I want to go and see if maybe, just maybe, fingers crossed, they might have decided to wander through in this direction. From what I heard from Mike at Cheetah Plains, and this, by the way, was presumably where the twin of the dam was, this, which has now collected a lot of water, but not quite enough. Not quite enough to be considered a dam anymore. It's more of a pan. I know we bandy that terminology about. Yes, and I think this old road is probably where the dam wall was. So Twin Dams, -1. Interesting. Ellen is concerned for our safety after the manic wild dog chase of this morning. I'm just going to stop here for one moment. Let the other vehicle come through. Hi guys, how are you?
Fine, and you?
Good, thanks. Are you going to go look for those Ngala?
Yeah, where are they?
You'll see as you come to, do you know where Terrapin is? No. Okay, if you go up towards Twin Dams, once you've... Yes, keep going along the road to the north, and you'll get to a nice big pan on your right, and there's a big road off to your left, and it's probably about 700 meters along this road, and you'll see the tracks going off-road to the north. You should see the off-road tracks fairly clearly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Enjoy. If you don't manage, just get hold of me on the Game Drive channel, and I'll... Cool.
Are you Jamie?
I am Jamie, yes. Hi. Cheers. Enjoy. Hi. Oh, yes, sorry, Ellen. I'm just chatting to another vehicle, giving them directions to the lions. It's tricky when people don't necessarily know the road names to try and give them directions. Fingers crossed, I did give them the right ones. They should be able to find it. We'll see. We'll see if I get a call on the Game Drive channel. So, Ellen, you wanted to know, first of all, what happened to the wild dogs, and the answer is, from what I can hear, it sounds as though they dashed off through Simbambili, and the way that Brent described it, almost right towards the other side of Simbambili. They've moved through at high speed, and of course on a cool morning like this morning, they're able to cover tremendous distance. And unfortunately, just going outside of our traverse area. So Simbombili being a piece of or a parcel of land very close to our gate. It's on our northwestern boundary. And they dashed right through there and on their way. Ellen, I don't think anyone was hurt. Dave, you were on camera this morning with Brent, weren't you?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Dave seems to be in one piece, and I think probably he was the most at risk of serious injury. We all seem to be in one piece. Vehicles are all in one piece. Equipment is maybe a bit more rattly, just a little bit more of a rattle every now and again. The aerial's chirping away in the back there. But other than that, I think we've done fairly well. All present and accounted for, all limbs present and accounted for, fingers, toes, and ears are all made it back safely to camp. Well, I go and check and see if maybe we're lucky and those lions have decided to move to the west. Let's find out how Brent's afternoon is going.
So we're just about to arrive near the mystery mushroom muncher, or the evidence of the mystery mushroom muncher. So it's just on the other side of quarantine, not far from final control. And the light that has just exploded through those clouds is absolutely beautiful. Oh, it's absolutely stunning as it comes through the trees here and just illuminating this bright green surrounds we're enjoying at the moment. So we just got an update from the tech team. Our Russian genius says there are lions roaring, and they're roaring to the north in Buffelshoek, unfortunately. Probably just north of Sydney's dam. So now let us hope I can remember exactly where that is a little bit further. Keep an eye out for a mushroom here, VM. I think where did Steph and I walk? It was around here. Okay. Was it here? I think it was actually a bit further back. Just trying to remember my route. So I'm looking for a very particular mushroom that's been munched on. It should be, where's Fireside Chat? Okay, if I remember correctly, it was about a few meters from the road, just here somewhere. Oh yes, thank you, Vim. Reminding me, I get a bit forgetful with these things. Putting the transmitter there so you can hear me nicely while I search for the mushroom. Now, oh, no, it's someone rolling a wheelbarrow. I just wasn't sure what that noise was. You can just hear those wheels going. Now, it'd be better if I spotted my tracks coming back. Should be right around here somewhere, but very close to the road. No, this is of course, unless the mystery mushroom muncher came back and munched the whole thing. Pretty sure we gapped it just through here. This mushroom is avoiding me. That's quite bad. I mean, it's sort of understandable if we can't find something that moves, but we can't find something that's stationary. That's a bit embarrassing. But I think it might be a little bit further back. Oh, hang on. There we go. Is that my yes, that is my flip-flop track. So now I know I'm in the right line. Maybe it was just a little bit further than I remembered. It's so strange because it stuck out so immediately to me earlier. Oh dear. It's finished. Mushroom has vanished. It is quite sad, especially since we came quite a long way to try and find that mushroom. But anyhow, we'll continue on. So, if you remember the sighting of that big fungus that wasn't a mushroom with Jamie, you'll remember that that had also been fed on. You could see some very distinct sort of almost bite marks on it. So, if anyone's got a screenshot of that, do you remember what that one was?
Yeah, it's there by the front.
Ah, VM knows where it is. We'll go to that one. Why didn't you tell me earlier? No, you just let me wander around like a fool. No, I'm joking. VM did tell me earlier, but I wanted to find my own mushroom. So we'll go to that one. We'll go have a look. Check carefully here. So the reason we came and looked for the smaller one first is because I could actually pick it up and remove it. But unfortunately, it has evaded us, so we will go to Jamie's fungi. And it's amazing, look at that. That golden light was just there for that split second before it disappeared. So we've got a few guesses in, but let's just wait till we see the teeth marks. And there's a spectacular evening. I think we're going to be treated to a wonderfully, gloriously gorgeous setting of the sun today. Oh, I think it's the same guy from the beginning of the sunrise safari. Sunset safari. He's moved down from around Zoe's Road to Quarantine. They are absolutely stunning birds. Oh, got something to eat there. Very long-lived, lived to about 40 years old. It's obviously incredibly long for a bird. Well, he's actually going to be walking towards us. Maybe he's the mystery mushroom eater. I don't think so, though. James Richard says he thinks VM's been munching on mushrooms, deep fried and covered in Milo. Is this true, VM?
Just normal chocolate.
Just normal chocolate, not Milo. Although VM does call himself the chief Milo consultant. Yes, VM has a great love for Milo and Nesquik and any chocolatey milk-based drink. Yes. Only when it's mixed with coffee. But I have seen VM have it without coffee before. And I think if we ever had to remove that from our weekly shopping list, there might be a camera operator strike. If there was... Oh, it's finished!
Alex got onto it as well.
Oh, there we go. VM is quite sad. His Milo is finished because Alex has caught onto it. So the camera and tech department munching through the Milo. Okay, Vampy, where's this mushroom or fungus? Next to a tree. Wow. Wow. Is that true, VM?
No, I don't think there wasn't
I just heard that they consumed half a kg of Milo in 2 days. That is very impressive going. Further along here or back? Further along. Close to the road. Left or right? Right. So we're in search of Jamie's fungus. Maybe I should ask Jamie exactly where it was. Jamie.
Standing by.
Jamie, that very big fungus you had on quarantine, where exactly was it?
Brent, it's right at that junction from the sort of the two track that runs along the western edge of quarantine and then turns and goes towards Zoe. It's right at that junction underneath the marula tree, and I think it's on the northwest quarter of that junction.
Copy, thank you very much. Okay. It's a little bit further on. Where's he going? Oh, look at that, well-spotted Vim. Oh, he's caught something. He was tapping it against the tree. Oh, look at that. The exact same hornbill. Oh. He's cleaning his beak. They do often look quite ungainly up in a tree. Definitely look far more at home on the ground. Maybe he's planning to roost on quarantine this evening. And that'll be great because we'll be able to enjoy that wonderful dawn chorus that the ground hornbill does give, that doo, 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 doo. And often just before sunrise they call. Sorry about that, guys. Everyone's wondering what Milo is. Well, Milo is like a chocolate-based drink that you add milk to and stir. I thought Milo was international, but obviously I was wrong. But yes, so Milo is like chocolate milk is probably the best description. What do you say, Vim?
Yeah, I mean, maybe water.
Aha. Oh. It's gone. Which side was it, Vim?
Right here.
There we go. Is that what all that's left?
Yes.
Wow, look at that. So that monstrous fungus has been munched on by something else. I don't think this is the original culprit, though. Ooh, I think... Oh. Now, gotta be quite careful with these. Some of them can be highly noxious. We can't see those little feeding marks that I was looking for. It almost... I'm trying to see if I can see any tracks around. All I can see is there have been some dwarf mongoose scuttling about here, but I don't think they're the culprits at all. It does almost look like it's rotting already. Maybe it got too much water. And you see that. And it... Wow. That does not smell good. It smells like almost a fermentation, so it smells like almost a really, really strong smell. Sour milk and like fermenting alcohol is the best way I can describe the combination of smells. You want to smell, Vim?
Yeah.
Oh, let's make sure it doesn't, the drippy bit doesn't fall on the car. There you go. Yeah, weird smell. Very strange. But so anyway, guys, we're going to take some of your guesses to what it is. If you can remember, or you have a screenshot of that fungus when it was still intact, have a look at those little feeding marks on it and see if you can figure out what creature was feasting upon it. So we've got a few answers in. We've had porcupine, which is a very good guess, but I just feel that the bite marks that we're seeing are far too small for a porcupine, but a very good guess. And another was slugs or honey badgers. Unfortunately, I don't think, whoopsie, either of those. But I think I'll give you guys the answer now. One of the creatures we get out here that is incredibly fond of a lot of the fungus and mushroom species, and from the tracks I could see it, the tortoise. Sorry. I gave it away. That other mushroom that was fed, it looks to be a Speaks hinged tortoise is the one feeding on all the fungus at the moment. So really fascinating. So I think Viam and I are going to take a little wander down Gallagher shortcut and maybe go have a look, see if there are any hyenas at home a little bit later. So while we do that, let's jump back on board with Jamie, who's got a wonderful vista to show you.
Isn't the sky absolutely spectacular this evening? Now, there's something of a running bet going as to if and when it is going to start raining. We all fancy ourselves as fairly useless meteorologists. Now, Dave believes it's not going to start raining at all during drive. I have suggested that the rain might start to pour at about 6:45. Louise also guessed at a time, and I've completely forgotten already. 6:15. All right, so we'll see. 7:15. It was 7:15. Sorry. It was 7:15. Better get it right. And I think we will probably be once again wagering our bets on Smarties, since we've run out of Milo, which, by the way, was devastating news to me. But yes, I think we shall wager upon Smarties. And the winner gets a Smartie from... Oh, and Smarties, by the way, I'm not sure. Are Smarties I definitely know you get Smarties in the UK. You definitely do get them in the States as well. So, yes, we will be wagering for Smarties in our camp. Oh, since I'm here... Sorry, I'm just listening to the game drive comms. I've just been distracted. I wanted to show you these screenshots. Now, I'm going to try and get them a little bit larger. This is twin dams. Ooh, let's do that. This is a twin dams with a hippo in it. You can see sort of roughly how high the water was. And thank you very much for that screenshot, John. And Ophira, you've also sent one through, and that is the Vuyatela Dam. Let's try and zoom in a little bit. Now, whilst it's not clear, you can really get an idea of just how full those dams really are. I mean, that's right up to the sides, probably really close to the dam wall, if not over it. You can see this is where the pan usually sits, just behind there. That is how high that water was at this time, roughly this time last year. So thank you, Ophira and John, and anyone else who tried to send through those screenshots, just to try and give you a bit of a comparison between what we're seeing now and what we would have been seeing this time last year. And last year was not the rainiest year that we've experienced. 2 years ago, there were severe floods throughout this area. And on the subject of rain, well, now that we've seen this glorious sky, and Dave, I think you might be right. I think you are right about the rain. I'm going to owe you a Smartie. I'm going to go and check on Buffelshoek Dam. Oof, this road has been somewhat affected by the rain. We're driving at very much a sort of 45-degree angle here. Ooh. Ooh. Bumping along. There we go. Oof. Sorry, everyone, if you were feeling a little bit motion sick. And Dave, if you were feeling a bit motion sick at the back there. I want to go and see how full Buffelshoek Dam is looking and whether or not we've got any hippo residing there. Now, when Renius first arrived, Renius, of course, being the master tracker that was brought in to give us a few tips of the trade, as well as educate us on just animals in the bush in general, given that he's lived his entire life out here. But when Renius first arrived, I was driving him around to give him just a rough lay of the land before James and Brent finished off their sunrise safari. And we wandered up across to Buffelshoek Dam, where we got out to look for tracks. And he said to me, there's no hippo in this dam, right? And I said, well, I'm not too sure. Let's just wait and see. And we checked and nothing popped its head up. And so we went right down to the water's edge, and Renius turned his back on the water to start talking to me, and a hippo popped up probably about 4 meters, which is 12-ish feet away from the edge of the bank, from the edge of where Renius was standing. Both of us did a very rapid backwards retreat up the hill. We're very fortunate in that it was a young hippo, which I think probably stopped it from charging initially. Most of the time, a hippo in water is one of the safest animals to have approached on foot, if and only if that water is deep enough that they feel safe and secure within it. But at the moment, the drought has really changed everything in the ways in which animals are responding. Some of them are, especially the hippos, are particularly or have been particularly under stress. And I think that we got quite fortunate in that respect. Otherwise, there would have been an even more rapid retreat up the bank and away from the water. Generally, hippo, as a rule, what they want to do is they want to be safely ensconced in their dam. And that's why it's always imperative. We always chat about what you should do if you ever find yourself between a hippo and water. And the answer is get out of the way as quickly as possible. Lots of groundwater in the way. Dave, you can't possibly be right about this. I'll tell you why. I mean, surely, but it's blue sky above me, but if we look, and I'll try and, the trees are going to be very much in my way, not that I resent them for that, but there are cumulus clouds gathering to the south of us. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see which of us shall be proved correct. I'll try and stop here so I can show you the clouds. Trees in my way. There we go, we've sort of got a fairly clear view. Look at that bank of cloud. Hundreds of meters high. There we go. That's a bit much clearer. There we go. Thank you, Dave. Perfect. Now that looks like storm clouds, if ever I saw them. We shall see. The weather has proved to be incredibly unpredictable. Beautiful cumulus clouds gathering, the typical storm clouds of summer. It's actually been really nice to see them once again. I've hardly seen any this month or this rainy season. And as we go around the corner towards Buffelshoek Dam, Pedro was wondering about what degrees or qualifications you need, since this is his dream job, the one that we're doing. And it is, I must say, we are incredibly fortunate to be doing the job that we do. Pedro, in terms of university degrees, very often a degree in conservation or some kind of conservation management, ecology, animal science, biology, natural sciences, that would be of use to you, but it is not essential in any way. Now, personally, my background and my university degree happens to be in law. As you can tell, that my legal career has been tremendously successful. The first thing I did was come back out here and start training as a guide. In terms of the legal qualifications that you need, there is a government qualification governed by a body known as CAFCETA, And you very often can do that through a guiding union known as FGASA, F-G-A-S-A. FGASA is, whilst not a legal requirement, generally what is required by employers in terms of picking the guides that they choose to employ, but not necessary in any way. The government agrees what's essential. You need a first aid, at least a first aid level 1, and you need to renew that on a regular basis. Just turn that down a little bit. And you need to drive guests around. For most lodges require what is known as a professional driver's permit, which is very easy to obtain. There's no exams, but most of it is to do with the theory behind, and you get different levels of qualification. So you could do your initial level, and I think it's, what is it called? There's a unit standard to the Catheta qualification that is the most basic, and you can work your way up from there. And then there's different ways to further and better your qualifications. So you can start working as a guide, because to be quite honest, that's the best way to learn, is to do. But you can start working as a guide once you've passed the initial theory exam and the initial practical examination, which involves taking a game drive, just like the one that we're doing, usually for about 3 or 4 hours. And then those tests, those exams on theory and the practical examinations get more and more stringent as you go along in time. But Pedro, absolutely, to me, it is a dream job. As we continue on our way to Buffelshoek, Brent has made his way to an old hyena den. So let's find out what's happening there.
So we've made our way to the hyena den. As you can see, not a hyena in sight, just me. And from what I can see here, it looks like they've abandoned the den. And I've checked all the entrances quite carefully. And even though I have seen hyenas and warthogs share the same den before, at the moment, there's not a hyena track. But we can see these really hard little, I think this is going to be the easiest one. I don't want to stand in front in case there's a warthog at home. Although it would be quite funny for you guys to see me barreled over by a warthog. But there's some fresh warthog tracks going in here. And that is after the rain in the middle of the day. So I'm pretty sure there's probably a piggy in there. And I'm quite nervous of piggies, as they tend to come out of these things sometimes quite quickly. Sometimes you can see them, but I'm just very cautiously checking. That's got a big corner, and I'm not going to put my head any further. I'm not as silly as I once was. I used to crawl down those things to see what was in them when I was younger, and a bit smaller in my teenage years. Okay, so our plan is now to go check some of the other hyena dens. So I think we'll go off to Gallagher Shortcut first. It's closest. Unfortunately, we won't be able to check the Mvubu one. Oh. And the Mvubu drainage, the Mvubu Road den, because it's been a lot of rain and those soils there are quite sensitive, so we won't drive there. So I have heard that James found them in another den just to the north of here. Vim, do you know where that was? Were you with James?
But it's mostly the termite mound got holes and stuff.
Yeah, this is a problem that this crest here is literally covered in termite mounds. I'll see if we'll go just to the north here and have a look. Just trying to see if I can see where James veered off this little track. And we'll just make our way to the closest one to the north. I'm guessing James would have gone through here, and there is a termite mound just there. So let's go check that one quickly. Gracie. Gracie is 8 years old. Says, what is Milo? And can I try some? I promise VM I won't eat it all. Well, Gracie, it's very similar to, I think, what you call chocolate milk in America. Oh, that was close. Aerial attack. And we're just checking here. I presume this is the one that's got some holes in it. But again, no tracks. No tracks. So it doesn't look like this one's being utilized either. So we're going to have to search for the hyena den again. Just double check. No fresh tracks coming in or out of that. So let's make our way towards the Gallagher shortcut den. See if that's not possibly the next one on the list. And it is incredible how many different den sites a single clan of hyenas can have. Since I have been here, let me just try, think about it now. We've had the first one when I started was, oh, we've got a friend. That should pop off now. I think the first one was, whoa, I nearly forgot. I have a ball of GoPros on the front of the car. I'm going to just remove that branch tactically. So while I try remove that branch, let's go to Jamie, who's at Buffelshoek Dam.
And an update on the condition of Buffelshoek. Isn't it looking stunning and full? Again, not as full as it would have been normally at this time of year, but at least there is plenty of water in here. Easily enough to submerge a fully grown hippo. Not, however, that I can see any. But how's that reflection? Water reflecting the skies above us. The skies that shall bring rain at 6:45 this evening. Exactly. And a couple of ripples of terrapin. There's a head bobbing about in the middle of your screen. But other than that, no sign of any hippo. No sign of Bob, the bachelor of Buffelshoek. I think he's moved up towards Sydney's dam. Isn't that absolutely stunning? Just since we are here, and I'm not sure that we've chatted about this recently, we have a look down at what is happening closest to our vehicle, where there is a structure of metal and rocks and a pile of sand that is slightly different color. The reason that this is there, it's known as a gabion or gabion, depending on your pronunciation, and it is deliberate human intervention in order to reduce the erosion of an area. And already you can see on the left of it the kind of soil erosion that I'm talking about, where the water runoff has washed away the topsoil. So why, since that has clearly been caused by natural rain and animal movement to and from, why then do we need to intervene in terms of blocking it up and trying to stop this kind of runoff from happening? And the answer to that is because all of these dams are constructed by people. They are man-made water holes. And thus they have an impact that would not necessarily have occurred if they had been left without a dam in this area. So the more you have a water source, or a permanent water source, the more animals frequent it and thus spend time grazing around the edges and browsing around the edges, reducing the vegetation cover and therefore increasing the amount of soil that is washed away due to the rain. So that is why it's necessary to have put something like that, a gabion, in to prevent that. Oh, and if we just have Dave, if we can have a look at that bird. He just flew in with a stick in its mouth. It is a red-billed buffalo weaver, and it is responsible for one of the messiest nests in the bird kingdom. And the way in which they construct those messy communal nests is a feat of engineering. Now, that looks basically like it is going to fall out of this tree at the slightest breath of the wind. But in fact, these birds are such clever little engineers that they've created entrances that they know about and that are easy for them to access. But other than that, they've made life very difficult for predators, whilst at the same time, that messy structure is actually incredibly strong. Here you go, you can see the red bull. There, you definitely see the red bull. Being a little bit interesting. They're having a bit of a scuffle. Nothing too serious. They are cooperative breeders. There you can see it inside the nest. Now imagine being a potential predator, like, for example, a harrier hawk that is a famous nest raider, or maybe even a snake, and just imagine trying to navigate your way through that messy combination of sticks and twigs. They are master craftsmen in nest building. I'm going to slowly make my way back towards the lions. In the meantime, I think Brent might have been successful in his search for the hyena den. So let's go and have a look.
Isn't this wonderful? So I think this is the den a little bit to the north that James was referring to. A little bit further, probably about 150 meters from the old den. And we have a very active, oopsie, very loud, very active den site at the moment. Isn't that cute? Now, around all hyena dens, every little stick that's at, depending on the age, cub height, gets chewed on immensely. You can see they haven't had a good chance. They haven't been in this den for too long. They haven't chewed on every stick that's here yet. But don't worry, it won't take them long before they do. Oh, look at that. Here comes, oh, are we going to have a little bit of a battle over the stick? Or they each going to have their own stick, maybe? Look at this. It is so wonderful. And we've got some little guys still suckling. 2 different sets by the looks of things. Yep. So let's count how many hyenas we got. Have you seen something in the background there? Another hyena. Oh, there we go. Well spotted, VM. So that's 1. And we can see there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 2. 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I think there's probably 1 or 2 that we might not have seen. Here, having a snooze. These 2 look like they're in the mood for games. Donna says she just can't get enough of these hyenas. They are absolutely wonderful, I do agree. Oh, there we go. Some wonderful interaction between 2 of the little ones. So hyena's scientific name is Crocuta crocuta, and it's a bit of a strange one. It was really for a long time thought to be borrowed from the Latin word crocata, which was said to be for the saffron-coloured one. And I'm not sure what colour saffron is. I suppose you could say that sort of orangish tinge is saffron-coloured-ish. But then it actually turns out it came... Ooh! A little sibling rivalry caused a bit of a panic there. So those two little ones, and it looks to be a male and a female. The bigger one being on the right, a female just beat the male off the teat, and he gave a little squeal. Look at this little guy. Really in the mood for a bit of nonsense, a bit of playtime. And it's wonderful to have all these guys around. So, sorry, I was just finishing up on the name, where it came from. Originally from Sanskrit. I don't know how to pronounce the original Sanskrit. K-O-A-A-H, capital A, C-R-A-K-A, which originates from Krosh-oka, which both sort of mean half dog, half wolf, which of course they're not. Whoa, I nearly dropped my camera. Sorry if you heard that quick ting. My camera was on the dashboard. Look at them. Hi, Sharon in Beliso. Sharon's wondering, how do hyenas move dens? Now, hopefully one of these days we'll actually catch them in the movement of den. It is quite a performance, especially for the cubs of about the age that's sitting in front of us. They don't really like moving dens too much, and quite often the mothers are quite rough with them, literally dragging them through the bush by the scruff of the neck, and if they let go, the cubs run straight back to the den that they've just come from. So it can be a bit of palaver. Sometimes they will walk. The very small ones are carried by the nape of the neck, and the unresponsive ones of the bigger ones are literally dragged across the bush to the new den site, screaming the whole way. So we're just going to jump across to Jamie quickly to watch the sun disappear.
This is incredible. Isn't this so beautiful? Have you ever seen a sky like this? Never the same in the African bush. Just sitting here quietly, taking it in. Back the Drakensberg Mountains, a silhouette against the fiery sky. And Eric sharing a bit of information about the dappled car. Shall we try that again? The dappled clouds, here we go, sorry Eric, which are apparently called mackerel clouds by the local watermen in Eric's area. A mackerel sky, sorry, it's a mackerel sky, and that it means that a change is brewing in the weather And Eric, I don't think I could have put it any better, and it does almost, it's a beautiful description, a mackerel sky. And yes, the change is coming. It's in the weather. Every now and again, that little hint of cool. I cannot describe how beautiful the sunset is. I know you were looking at it, but to sit in this vast silence, which I'm going to provide you with now, absolutely stunning. But the hyenas are doing something interesting. Let's have a look.
So one of the hyenas just threw up, and now the others are rolling around in it. And while it's still trying to eat what it threw up. So very, very interesting behavior. They're not the most known to be the most cleanly of creatures. Oh, there we go. Let me roll around in some vomit. Yay, fun. It smells so nice. Oh, look at it go. So we've just been chatting. Whoa, look at him go. How hyenas move dens. And Matt, who's 9 years old, how are you doing, Matt? We'd like to know, why do hyenas change dens? Well, because they're quite smelly things. They have lots of ticks and fleas. And so when the fleas get too much at one den, they'll move to the next one. And so then start building the flea population there before the fleas, oh, look at it go, I get too much again before having to move again. So they might have 10 or 15 even different dens in their territory. I just spotted her as well. So she just came out from the other side of the termite mound, walking off, heading out to go forage. So fascinating enough, at one stage, hyenas occurred, or spotted hyenas in particular, occurred throughout Africa and the whole of Europe during the Pleistocene period. So the first migration of spotted hyena relatives into Europe was about 3.5 million years ago. The most recent was about 36,000 years ago. And can you believe there are paintings in caves in the south of France that actually depict spotted hyenas? So it wasn't that long ago that they would have been cruising the Côte d'Azur. Obviously, it was a bit warmer in Europe at that time. Anky Pank says, that's so interesting. I wonder what makes them get excited and jump and roll around in the vomit. Well, it's just because it's really smelly, and hyenas like really smelly things. Now, this is one is stalking another one by the looks of things that's disappeared on the other side of the termite mound. So Marilyn in Montana would like to know exactly where this new den is. Marilyn, it's about 150 meters due north of the old one, so still off Aubrey's Road. Debbie says we went from the sublime sunset to the disgusting with the hyenas. Well, not disgusting if you're a hyena. Quite pleasant rolling around in some vomit or something smelly and dead. Oh, another one arriving. Oh, listen to this. Hopefully we get some nice vocalization with greeting. Showing submissive behavior to the females lying down. And to the offspring. See, tail up, greeting, anal pasting that little. Oh. Look at that, look at that. See, all the cubs just rushed back to the den, and the adults have stood up, their ears are out. There was an impala alarm calling. And impala don't really alarm call at hyenas. Hyenas don't seem to be taking too much notice. Maybe these are silly impala, but look at how that immediate response, everyone rushed back. No, let's go have a look. Those hyenas are looking far too intently. So we can't start, so we're going to have to power down. It's the immobilizer that is... and also Final Control is still talking to me, so we do need to link to Jamie. So I'm just going to make sure they've grabbed the other handset, so they've told her she's getting a link so she doesn't get a surprise. And I think, hopefully, that there's a lion or leopard close by. And those impala are not just freaking out for nothing. Okay, let's jump across to Jamie. Let's go see what those impala are alarming, but we have to switch off first.
I am completely mesmerized by the sky. I cannot describe it. I've been trying to bring myself to race towards the lions, and I keep getting distracted by this view. I mean, look at these clouds. It looks like the sun shining on a mountain. Look at that. It looks like a snow-capped mountain. I assume, having not seen many snow-capped mountains in my time. Oh, that is just too spectacular. What a beautiful evening. This atmosphere of this evening, it's evenings like this that just captivate us in the bush. The smell, the silence, the birds. But no, really, we do have to go. No, really. We really do have to go. We're going to run the risk of losing those lions. I found myself a little bit further than I meant to in terms of the distance I have to travel. I blame the beauty of the evening is probably the only way that I can describe it. It's quite hard not to just want to sit and let the beauty wash over you in waves. Every time I look at the sky, it looks different and somehow more beautiful. Oh, goodness. With the silhouette of the dead tree. And I want to stop, but no, it's time to go. Focus, Jamie, focus. You have a job to do. You have places to be. Apparently you guys are taking lots and lots of screenshots, so at least I'll be able to look at those later. Lions first, and then sunset another time. Oh, to be so lucky as we are, to be surrounded by the scenery that we are. I think Jerry actually described it to me perfectly once, that Africa is sometimes so beautiful, it's like somebody painted it out of their imagination. Might not have been an exact quote, but that was the general idea. Crossing over the WildEarth Dam, at least partially increased in terms of depth. Oh, up and over the top. No, this dam hasn't filled up as much as I expected it to. It really, really hasn't. Oh, better watch the road. Let's not drive over the dam wall. No, we're not looking. We are not looking at the reflection of the sunset. We are continuing. I'm going to put blinkers on myself. Dave, stop showing me these incredible things. Sorry, I know that is very much your job. It's all your fault, Dave. Oh, so beautiful. Oh, so slippery and muddy, this road. Oh. Let's do this very gently. There's some large ruts developing, and we're probably going to slip and slide our way up here. I'm actually going to change gear. Don't stop, 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 don't stop. Come on, Wendy. Here we go. Prefer not to slide back down it. Now, that was a combination of instructions to myself as well as to Wendy there. Onwards to the lions. Let's see if they've decided, now that it's a bit cooler, to get up and about, and hopefully towards the end of the sunset safari they might be searching for their next meal. I'd be interested to see, actually, now that it's evening and they're going to start walking, if in fact we're going to see them go their separate ways, or if they're going to stay together for one more night. I feel as though they're coming to the end of each other's company, enjoyment of each other's company. There's some impala wandering across in front of us. They don't look terribly stressed out or on alert, which suggests to me that the lions haven't come up in this direction if they have moved. They're just young males playing. I'd love to stop for them, but we're going to have to be on our way. Raisa, just a quick question that you had about ground hornbills and where they nest. You were wondering, you've just forgotten whether or not they rest in trees or on the ground. And Raisa, the answer is they do indeed rest in trees. They like hollows in broken branches. Some of the bigger trees, jackalberries high up on the list, leadwoods high up on the list, and marula tree hollows as well, are all places that I have located ground hornbill nests before in my time. Up high where they can leave their chick safely ensconced and head out foraging for the day. And before it gets too dark, let's go back to Brent and his hyena, and I will race over to the lions with minimum distraction, I promise.
So there we go. It was a false alarm. One silly impala started snorting as the hyena were playing, and that's why I thought it would be unusual that the adults didn't react to those alarm calls by charging off to see what it was, but it's always worth checking. Now, there's some interesting African folklore about hyenas. Now, in the Mtwara region of southern Tanzania, very close to where I was based, it is believed if a child is born, wow, sorry, just one second, look at that. Those flies have really been noshing on her ears. Incredibly uncomfortable. And you see there's still lots of flies around. See how she's constantly flicking. There we go. Yeah. So in that southern Tanzania area, if a human child is born at the exact same time as a hyena calls, it is said that it is most likely that child will grow up to be a thief. So in most African cultures, hyena go hand in hand with witchcraft and sorcery and bad and evil things. Hello, little ones. Just one brave little one. So there's only one real sort of clan of people that consider hyenas not to be evil in Africa, and it's the Yoruba people from Benin and southwest Nigeria who actually worship hyenas. And they have incredibly elaborate hyena masks that are used in ceremonies as well. But either way, whether it be negative or positive, hyenas play a huge role in the cultural history of Africa, especially since they're so adept at scavenging off humans. Oh, they can hear something we can't. Oh, look at that one trying to put her ears almost in the oh, little guy, in the dirt to try to get the flies away. Oh, I think that little one seen the impala that was snorting at them just now. Here we go, some more movement there. One of the older ones, a sub-adult, a terrible teen. Sibosiso, nice to hear from you again. We haven't heard from you for a while. Sibosiso is in Hammanskraal, just outside Pretoria in South Africa. And I think one of the first questions I ever got on the live drives was from Sibosiso. So nice to have you back. Sibosiso is wondering why hyena cubs are born black and only develop spots a little bit later. Well, my theory on it would be, Sibosiso, is that they are often hiding in the dark. So inside the den, so black would be the best camouflage if something else happened to pop its head in there, with those little cubs sleeping very still and being black. They are able to hide from potential predators. And obviously as they grow older, that camouflage isn't needed, and that's why the spots start forming. Same reason that little lion cubs are far more spotty when they're little, to help hide them. So we are getting quite dark now. We will stay for as long as we can. We won't be putting on any lights at the den, so we'll just sit here and enjoy for now. These are magnificent creatures. They might be smelly, but I still love them. Oh. That must be, I'm thinking this hyena here must be quite old, with that amount of damage on her ears. And so very prominent. So it's not the scar-backed female that was mauled by the wild dogs with James. She's got a very prominent scar on her back that's quite easy to see, and I don't see that there. We haven't seen that female since, but we are keeping our eyes open for her. So it's getting quite dark. The light's dropping very quickly, and most of the cubs have gone back to the entrance of the den. So I think we're going to leave the hyenas be and see what else we can find. I'm just going to have to turn around quickly. So you can just see that wonderful sky there to the west. Absolutely stunning colors. She mentioned that sky is called a mackerel sky by a fisherman, and it means change is on the way. Maybe in the past he's had some good mackerel catches under skies like that. Bye-bye, hyenas. Have a good evening. So while we move out of here, let's go see Jamie, who's going back to see if she can find those lions.
I've just seen the male wandering into the Mawati drainage line and into a very dense patch at that. And in fact, very nearly got stuck in my attempt to try and get to him whilst trying to move through this soft, wet area here. Now, I'm just going to go back onto the road. I'm going to check to see if that female is still in the same place or if the male, it was just, or if it was both of them moving through to the west, or to the east, sorry, where they were. Otherwise, we'll loop around and we'll try and follow them. Now, in that really tricky patch of the Mawati, which could make things a little bit tricky. Nice and slow for the puddles. We're checking really carefully for their eye shine. And it was just that fraction of a second too late. He'd already crossed the road, but not necessarily a bad thing, because at least we know which direction he went in, and they would have gone that way anyway, so I wouldn't have been able to follow them if we'd got here a little bit earlier. I'm just going to do one careful check of where they were, and I'm going to try not to drive in on the same road, just because it's starting to, because it is so damp and so soggy, it's starting to leave track marks, which I don't want to do. No, don't think so. Maybe. Might be a flat cat there. Let's just double check properly, make sure that I'm not leaving them when they're still here. Very good point from Kristen, watching in Denmark, who's wondering where all of the buffalo are. It's been a while since we've seen a buffalo. Good point, Kristen. I think maybe moving because of all of the rain, they've got a wider area to cover. Oh, just one little scrub hare. Well timed with the scrub hare. You can see that red reflective light coming from his eye. Hold on 1 second. Let's just listen. Sorry, Dave, I took that spotlight away very quickly. I just heard a sound. I think they're mating in that drainage line. Okay, I've just caught it over the sound of the engine. Bye-bye, little spring hare. I think they're in there. Now, it's going to be very, very tricky for us to get in to view them, but I'll try approaching from the other end. Watch your head there, Dave. Hold on. but it sounded like that call or that growl that the male was making this morning when we saw them mating. It wasn't quite a growl so much as a whine. I think due to their repeated mating activities, they've got to the stage where they're a bit lacking in energy. So he was making an almost sound. This was my best imitation of the noise that the Birmingham boy was making. Right. So I hear you, lions. How on earth are we going to be able to see you? Just by the way, it was Dave's heroic actions by standing on the bonnet and rocking the vehicle up and down that actually got us unstuck in the end. So bravo, Dave. Well done. Jolly good show. Dazzling Dave. After he spotted and filmed the live zebra foal birth, which is a name that I think we should stick. I'm not sure how Dave feels about it. But you never really have a say in a nickname, do you? Yeah. It's just one of those things that you have to live with and accept. You might notice it seems very dark in front of me and that I keep popping my spotlight down into the road. Oh, excuse me. Down into the road ahead of me. And that's just because my headlights just stopped working. That's why I'm using my side lights and the spotlight every now and again to make sure that I don't drive over anything or drive into anything or any other possibilities. And I check quite far ahead every time I do check. Now, dare we brave the Mulwati drainage line in this damp? As we look for the lions responsible, or at least one of the lions, responsible for sending the Matimba lions down into Londolozi territory, Jill was wondering if I could give her an update on the Matimba male lion. Sorry, Sil, you were wondering if I could give you an update on the Matimba male lion fight with the Majingilani lions. And you've heard that there is a report that the Matimba lion, one of the Matimba male lions, is dead. Now, Sil, I can't give you a confirmation. It hasn't been confirmed. I have heard that report that there was a serious confrontation, as was actually probably fairly inevitable between the Majingilans and the Matimbas. And still, until we know for absolute certain, I can't really confirm it. It sounds likely, but I've also thought male lions dead before, only for them to turn up and look a little bit thin and a bit injured, but it's just because they've gone off to lick their wounds. So in that respect, I'm afraid I can't give you any confirmations. If it is the case, then it is exceptionally sad. But one of those natural orders of life, the Matimbas had a nice long stretch of dominance in this area. They've reached the 9 or 10 years old, and they've produced plenty of offspring for us to enjoy in the future, probably responsible for that lovely sub-adult female from the Nkuhuma Pride, as well, of course, as Junior. I've stopped here to just see if I can listen for the sound of the lions. They were moving slowly east when I had a brief visual of him. I'm not sure how I feel about trying to move into this drainage line. Shall we give it a go? We can always reverse all the way back out if we can't turn around.
Let's do it.
Shall we do it?
Yeah.
Let's do it. And if I get stuck, well, Brent will tease me and I'll get mocked about it for a little while and then it'll all be over. We all get stuck at one stage or another, although I would prefer not to be. It's not that fun digging yourself out in the dark. Speaking from experience. One of those interesting things as well about the way in which lions behave during the day and the way in which they behave at night. So on foot during the day, a lion is terrified of people, but at night they know that they are the apex predator. They know that we are not equipped to match their night vision. And thus, it's the way in which humans and lions have evolved together. And they've had thousands of years of being the dominant species during the night. And it's only recently in the last, sort of, I would say, probably about the last century, that our technology has got to the point where we were able to have spotlight, and then a bit later than that, some night vision, possible thermal imaging, infrared, anything like that that might give us an advantage over them. So that instinct, that knowledge is still very much within them, that they are the dominant species at night. Now, you definitely don't want to go walking, although digging next to the vehicle will probably be absolutely fine. You don't want to go wandering around the bush at night. Lions? Are you here? Come on. Just around this corner. What a beautiful night drive. Atmospheric silhouettes of the big trees. A night cruise through a riverbed. Now, if this fails, then we'll pop back out of the drainage line and onto Vulture's Nest Road, which is just to the east of us here on top of this bank that we're driving along below. This is one of my favorite sections of drainage line. All right, I'm going to keep searching. And in fact, I'm probably going to have to reverse all the way back that we've just come forward, since we've come to almost the end of the line for our trip down the Mulwati. That tree is going to restrict us tremendously. So whilst I reverse, why don't you head back to Brent, and I'll catch up with you shortly.
So, welcome back. We're I'm actually searching for frogs at this very moment. See if we can find some interesting frog species. So just checking all the little puddles and pans to see if we can add to our frog list. And maybe we should take a drive down to the Vuyatela Dam, or Gowrie Dam, and see how many frog species we can hear if we can't find any. Also, always good to check for creatures like white-tailed mongoose out on these open areas. Hi, Darlene, who's in New Hampshire. Darlene says, without that daylight, your hearing must become so sharp to find the animals. Well, Darlene, actually, strangely enough, your hearing has to be better during the daylight hours because there's more ambient sound around. There's lots of other things out and about. So at nighttime, it's actually easier to pick up on alarm calls or vocalizations because there's not as many birds chirping. Generally, the wind's not blowing as much. So very strange that at night, actually, you can hear better than you can during the day. But whenever you're in the bush, your ears are incredibly important. What was that scurrying? Oh, it was a thick knee that took off. Thought we might have got a bit of luck with a little white-tailed mongoose. And so, Darlene, it's very interesting that, and it's amazing the different set of sounds you hear at night. So you will still have birds, but obviously mostly the nocturnal birds, although occasionally you do have very, very confused doves who randomly start calling at 3 a.m. But we've got wonderful owl species here. The most commonly heard owls that we hear is the barred owlet. and the little pearl spotted owlet. We also hear varroes or giant eagle owl quite a bit, and spotted eagle owl, white-faced scops owl, and of course the scops. And there he is, I can hear him. Oh, he's in this tree. Now, the search is on. So James Bear was asking for owls. James, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to fulfill that with one of the cutest little creatures out here and the smallest owl species we get. At night, they're a lot easier to find, so I need to just change my angle here, make sure I don't reverse over or into a tree. Okay, VM, where do you think he is? Let's try work this out. He's on the other side over there. I think he's on the opposite side of the tree through there. Let me just move around. Often sit in really thick parts of these trees, making them one of the more difficult owl species to find. But that's not something you see every day. You get that, Vim, where my spotlight is?
Yeah, that's the max I can go.
Okay, let me go back a little bit. Now that is not something you want to be under for too long. That is the rear end of a lilac-breasted roller. So I think the owl is actually in that thick stuff above the roller. And I just can't see him. Maybe we try from a different angle. Okay. Well, the roller obviously knows we drive down this road a lot. And he's made sure he's behind the branch not to get disturbed. And I think this little scops might just be in the spot where we're not going to find him, but I can hear another one in a knobthorn just over here, and that'll probably give us a better chance. Not as thick. Oh, he just flew. I got him. Oh, I'm so excited. There he is. Okay, center of... You see him there, Vim? So you see, guys, I'm going to have to explain. You can see his bottom. Hopefully he's going to turn around. Now, this is the smallest owl species we get. Sorry, I'm just going to have to move the spotlight a little bit to try get it in a spot where it doesn't bounce around so much. Come on, turn around. Psst, 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 psst. Oh, nearly. He's got wonderful little ear tufts, but he is absolutely minute. Psst, 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 psst. I'm trying to think where we might get a better view, forward, back. I think, unfortunately, this is the best. Come on, little Scopsy. Give us a call.
Maybe if you roll a little bit forward.
A little bit forward.
Centimeter.
Like a centimeter, okay. That was a centimeter for him.
Okay, make it 10 centimeters.
Okay, make it 10 centimeters. Right. I still can't see his beautiful face. And let's just try from around. See if we can get a view through the... Might be on an open spot if we... Oh, he's just flew again. Looked like he might have flown to a better spot. Oh, there he is, there he is, there he is, there he is. Okay, I don't want to... This has been my nemesis bird on live safaris for quite a long time. You got him, Gab? I think there. There he is, the African scops. Let me just get the spotlight stable. And he's still not looking at us. Psst, 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 psst. There he is. Look at that. African scops owlet. You can see around his face that lighter colored feathers around those massive eyes. Or we can hear a barred owlet calling in the distance. And do you think if we go forward it might be better?
I don't know.
We might get his face.
Gonna try.
Okay, we're just going to try a few centimeters forward to try get his face. And oh, there we go. Don't fly, don't fly. Oh, he's looking up away from us. But there we go, you can see those wonderful yellow eyes and that lighter colored feathers. No, you're not buying my Scops owlet impression. Psh, 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 psh. There we go. Oh, isn't he gorgeous? There we go, Nemesis tick. You can see those wonderful little ears. But I'm very happy. I hope you guys have got some great screenshots of him. But let's go see what Jamie's found.
Can you say lion? Because I can say lion. Here we go. Dave and myself getting very lucky and predicting exactly where this gentleman decided to walk out onto the road. Just where I said when I pointed out to the right of us, that's exactly where he is. And if I lift my spotlight up a bit, hiding, believe it or not, behind those logs, oh, is the female. And he's up. Now, once he does, if he does move off to the right here, so into this block, it will be very, very tricky to follow him. I think he's going to go and initiate mating with that female, though. Let us go and join them for the last few moments of the sunset safari. I'm really chuffed that we managed to get them right at the end. Definitely what we wanted to achieve. Where's she gone? She's actually, I think she's got up and she started moving into the block. And Vera, yes, our lions, some of the lions do indeed have names. Okay, this is where it's going to get very tricky off-roading after him. So we might be, there's a very good chance that we could lose him. I can see the female at the back. She's just walked behind this termite mound. I know of a road that goes in this direction. Sorry, Vera, I was right in the middle of answering your question. Oh, he's going to go in there. Making life a bit tricky, boy. So Vera, yes, our lions do indeed have names. Some, for example, like the amber-eyed female, are more descriptive than anything else. And then male lions, such in coalitions such as this, often get their own personalized names. In this case, this is Birmingham boy number 2. So not quite. Well, that was a bit of a... I was taking a bit of a chance there. Here we go. Here's our lion. But Vera, there's also a Birmingham male known as Scrapper. There's also one known as the Hoff. Scrapper has been nicknamed Tsotsi, which is the local name for a sort of a gangster in South Africa. So he's got 2 names, and then the Hoff. And the Hoff has another name as well, which is Blondie. So yes, there's different names given to them, and it very much depends on their personality. So the names I've just given you for the Birmingham boys are official names for the lions as referred to by the guides of the Sabi Sands. And then, of course, Because as regular viewers, and for us as well, we spend so much time with the individual members of the pride that we end up giving them identifying names and features just because it makes it so much easier for us to keep track. And by spending time with them, you get to know the different individuals. I do think once he goes further into this block, we're going to really struggle. The other reason I don't want to follow them too far in is as soon as their body language changes, I'm sure that they are going to be on the hunt. They were both looking very thin and hungry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reposition one last time, get a view of his retreating derriere, and already he is moved very far out of view. Oh, he's on the road again. Okay, fair enough. And he's off the road again. That was interesting. I wonder where that female's gone. I'm just going to spot quickly on either side of me. I think he's following her. Might, though, even have come to a parting of the ways for these two lions. It looked to me as if she went into the block further in. We'll see if that is actually the case. Where is she? Okay, our last view of him. I know this block, it is very, very dense. And he's moving quite rapidly. He's on a mission. I'm sure he's incredibly hungry. So we will say goodbye to him for tonight. Here he goes. Bye-bye, boy. Have a good evening. I hope both of them find a meal. Right, well, at least we got one last view. We'll continue on for searches of all the special nocturnal creatures. Let's find out what Brent has got for you at Terrapin.
Yep. So we're sitting in the dark next to the Terrapin, trying to listen to what frogs are around and what we can see. But what we have spotted there is a Terrapin. He's popping his head out there. So there's quite a lot. If we go, I'm going to follow the light with me, Vim. We got 1, 2, oh, the third one behind. 4, oh, where are we going to go? 5, 6, 7 and 8, and 9, 10, and they keep popping up and going down, so easily safe to estimate that there's probably 30 or so terrapins inside here. So we can hear a few frogs, and the most common one we're listening to here in the distance is the bubbling casino. And let me just wait a second. Now, obviously, they've gone completely silent. There we go, there they are. Bleep, bleep. Bubbling casino. Down actually in the Djuma Dam itself. Oh, lions roaring. It's all happening. But I think we heard the frogs have a really, really little vocal patch during the middle of the day while it was raining. So they seem to be having a slow start to the evening. Those lions roaring are not the ones Jamie is with, in case anyone was worried you were missing out. Those lions I heard were very far away, to the north and west. So somewhere deep inside Buffel's Hook.
Yeah, clicking down. Yeah,
Linda in Dallas says, wouldn't it be great if we could do a special night drive and just go frogging? I agree. I think that would be lots and lots of fun. And Linda says it has been done in the past. So, Linda, we will keep that in our minds the next time we have a bit of rainy weather. I have taken many guests over the years frogging when it's been too wet to go on game drive. They even used to keep a spare stash of gumboots. Now, a gumboot, I think, is what you guys would call wellies or Wellington boots. Big, thick, plastic sort of farmer's boots for dealing with mud and water. Looks like the rain stayed away, fortunately. And I still think we might get some overnight. So, guys, it's been wonderful, and I'm so excited about the owl, and so is Cat in Tampa, who says, thanks, Sprint, I love owls. Me too, Cat. That has been my nemesis owl for quite some time. But on that note, and what a happy note it is to finally have got that Scops owl on camera. I know some of the other presenters have, but that's my first while presenting. So, Wildebeest and William and I are going to say adieu. Have a wonderful evening, and for the last little bit of drive, we're going to go join JB.
Well, as we come to the end of a really beautiful sunset safari, and Africa provided us with a sunset of the most spectacular style, I really have enjoyed every moment that we have spent out in the bush today. And thank you, Dave, was where I was going with that sentence, for enjoying it alongside me, and also, of course, providing us with the stunning images that he has. We're very fortunate to have such talented cameramen. And a big thank you as well to the final control ladies, Louise and Jerry, as well as, most importantly, to all of you as viewers, to have you on the back and to share this experience with you is a privilege each and every single day. And you know what, as I'm saying these deep and profound things, the termites are all flying down my shirt again. Oh. And I've come to a roadblock as well. Well, I'll probably actually just stop here for the moment, because I want to have a brief chat with you about Earth Hour. So Earth Hour, we encourage you all to turn your lights off whenever your country gets to the 8:30 p.m. slot to the 9:30 p.m. slot in your time zone tomorrow, the 19th of March. If you can switch off all of your lights, that would be absolutely awesome. We at WildEarth will be doing that to raise awareness for climate change. And it's not just us, the presenters, who feel that way, but we've also prepared a clip of all of the WildEarth staff and what the Earth Day initiative means to all of us. So we'll close off the show with that, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning for the sunrise safari. Cheers and have a wonderful day.
Earth Hour 2016. Change climate change.
Think of our resources. Please don't waste.
Use your power in this social initiative to better our planet.
We can all do better.
Your social power can make a difference. While I can't change you, I can change me, and I will use less.
The 11th hour is not too late. Ngumhlaba wethu ngumhlaba owodwa.
Moenie 'n moegel wees nie. Wees lekker. Eet minder vleis.
Respect is reciprocal.
Earth Hour 2016. Change climate change.